And we're back at it again with another live one for all you Bi-Conics wrestling nerds out there. And welcome to another episode of the Bi-Conic Review of Honor, aka Bro for short. I am one of your co-hosts, Mikey, and joined with me once again this week is Andrew, my friend. Happy to have you back. How we doing?
Good, good, good. Another fun week of wrestling, and get to chat about it. So that's always a good day.
I love it. Unfortunately, we are missing two of our bros. JVL and Jesse both got caught up in work stuff. So once again, the dynamic duo is going to be holding it down for this week, but do not fret. They will be back next week, and all four of us will be back to talk about Ring of Honor. Okay, so Ring of Honor, we got to talk. I'm going to keep saying this every week. I appreciate that this is the most wrestling show that we watch throughout the week. I just need you to maybe like every week, maybe probably take out two matches that don't really need to be here. And please keep the running time to like an hour and 15 to an hour and a half. This was almost a 2 hour show. Let me tell you, for those of us that got to wake up in the morning to go to work, it would be appreciative if we don't have like 13, 14 matches, which is really bad to say because most of these matches were pretty good this week, but I do have questions on where certain matches were placed. But overall, I thought this was a fun show. I just want certain matches to be in certain places. But Andrew, what are your initial thoughts of this week's Ring of Honor episode?
I thought it was a good fun night. It was an enjoyable card. It was a very full card. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think we have some similar feelings on maybe match layouts and where they fell. But for the most part, it was really good. I don't think it was as highly ranked for me as last week's was, but it was still up there, still super enjoyable and a lot of diverse action, which Ring of Honor just seems to be doing more and more. So yeah, it was a fun week.
Me too. I agree with you. I thought this week was a lot of fun, but we'll get into some of matches where maybe they could have been moved around and or maybe we could have cut this match for specific reasons. But let's just dive into it. So we briefly opened Ring of Honor with a recap from your Ring of Honor World Champion, Eddie Kingston. Hey, by the way, he's already doing a better job than Claudio because he's actually appearing on Ring of Honor, kind of. At least we got promos for him. Claudio didn't even do that much. And so Eddie just cuts his promo, what seems to be after his match with Shibata at Wrestle Dream, which, by the way, that match was a lot of fun. I can't wait for the rematch down the line whenever they choose to do this. Please give it to me at Final Battle. That would be so great. But, we've got months until Final Battle. But Eddie basically says that if anyone wants to come for this title, he's willing to fight anybody for it. And he's going to, whoever wants to come challenge him, he's ready for it, which I appreciate because that means we might actually get this thing defended more often. I'm not bitter about Claudio as champion. No, I'm not.
I mean, I think we
No,
go
I am.
over it every week, but yeah, it'd be really nice if the majority of the titles for Ring of Honor were in Ring of Honor because we got back the world title, but the tag team and six-man titles are now in AEW. Like, what's happening? Come on, bring those things back. Bring them back.
Right. I mean, we will continue to talk about this as we go on, but yeah, we got the world title back, but in exchange, your six man and your tag team championships are in AEW. And specifically, your tag team championships right now have been the longest being used more as a prop than an actual title to defend. But that's a conversation for another day. So, Ring of Honor does a pretty good job. They never tell you what the order of the card is. And then as soon as we were done with this Eddie Kingsley segment, I'm like, okay, probably like normally like we do, like luchador matches, or we'll have a women's match open up, like standard singles match or like a tag team match. I'm like, okay, cool. And then, we get Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni be like, and our opening match for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. I'm like, excuse me? I was like, what? I'm like, huh? Why?
Yeah,
I mm,
yeah. If if we would have ended the night with like, if this would have been the night that Eddie Kingston started defending the world title, and we got bookend title matches, maybe that'd be okay. But yeah, I was surprised at this too. I was bummed because I was sure last week when they announced it, this was going to be our main event.
Seriously. So the first official match of what opens up Ring of Honor is for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. It is Layla Hirsch challenging Athena for the title. And before we get into some of our favorite moments, I don't know about you, Andrew, but easily this is my match of the night. Like this is the match of the night for me.
Yeah, this was probably when I scored them all. This was in my top two. Was probably my favorite. Some of the other ones were pretty enjoyable, but they were tag matches, so I kind of you know have a bias for that. But this
Fair.
match, yeah, this match was great. Like I said, this should have and could have easily been the main event and would have been worth it.
And that's my only big critique about this match is I'm upset that Ring of Honor put this first. I'm like, you could have switched what we had for the main event and the this championship match. Like if they had swapped places, I probably would have rated the show a little bit higher. But regardless, this match was really, really good. Obviously, Athena still proves why she's one of the best working women's wrestlers right now. Not just in 2023, but modern wrestling right now for women, which I love. But I also have to give credit to Layla Hirsch because, as tiny as she is, she brought the fight to Athena in ways that we have yet to see Athena at this point fight off. Because Layla's more of your submission specialist, and because she's small, she's able to be quick and lock Athena into different places. But so the the one of the moments that stood out to me that I was like, oh, this match is violent, but I love it. The when Athena picked up Layla and literally not did a move, just literally just chucked her to the floor off the stairs. I was like, oh my, just like literally she
Yeah, that was
pancaked herself.
so good.
And then let's see, what else do I have here? Layla locking in her submission while like Athena standing, like looking like a tiny little snake holding her was a beautiful moneymaker shot. And then I got a chuckle with what we're now dubbing Athena as one of her new finishers, the knee strike, which she now is calling the despicable knee. I was like, I see what you did there. I was like, minion training and all that. So they need to make a yellow shirt or have Billy come out in like glasses, like like the minion glasses.
I think they're probably trying to skirt the line as much as they can without running into lawsuits there with that one.
Yeah, which, of course, we don't want to get sued over here. But yeah, this match ruled. Ultimately, Athena does pick up the victory after hitting the despicable knee. I really enjoyed this match. Andrew, what did you think of our opening contest?
Yeah, it was an awesome match. That one of the moments that stuck out for me too was that kind of reverse suplex to the floor from the stairs. Layla Hirsch took that just like full on face down, um, and it felt like that was really what kind of kicked it into that next gear. Um, it surprises me every time I see Layla Hirsch because when you see her by herself, especially outside of the ring, you forget how small she is, and then you see her next to Athena, and Athena's not super tall, uh, but she's just so small and compact, and just brings such a different style. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the fact that the announce team kept pointing out the fact that even though Layla Hirsch is 11-0 going into this match, that Athena, this was her 40th match, and she was 39-0 going into that. So, it reminds me a lot. It helped remind us a lot of like, oh yeah, Layla Hirsch earned this match, but there's a reason why Athena's the champion, why she's the top in this division. Which I think with that and the match itself really helped both of them look solid, even with Layla Hirsch losing. Like I said last week, I kind of had a feeling it might go this way, and then Maria showing up at the end, like, really kind of, seems like they're going to be going down this route of maybe Layla Hirsch's confidence is kind of shaken a little bit. But I think as far as like fans going, she's not gonna like lose our idea of like what she's capable of, and of course Athena just continues to keep her streak going and like seem unbeatable by any means necessary. Um, and yeah, so I thought the way that they did this match was great. I have a feeling that we'll get to see Layla Hirsch a few more times in the title picture, either challenging or eventually someday holding. But yeah, I was about it, and I think the way that this match ended and all the stuff that kind of came right after it could have easily closed out the show, and it would have felt perfect.
Yeah, like I said, that's the only real critique I have, that this opened instead of closed, but I they got 20 minutes and I was really happy that they got time with this match, which made it even better. But Athena is now 40 and 0, and we'll just see who ends up being her next challengers later down the line. After this match, we get a quick backstage segment with Rocky Romero and Christopher Daniels, which sets up their match later on. And it's basically the two respect the hell out of each other, and they are looking to start to gain momentum to get into the championship picture to, eventually by winning some matches. And it just so happens that they're good. One of them's gonna win, one of them's gonna lose. I I'm I'm not gonna complain. um so that was that segment. Uh, the next match, which is basically a glorified squash match, which I don't mind. We see Josh Woods taking on Jobber Tyler Payne. This match didn't last more than like 2-3 minutes. The fake out kick to the back of the head and then Josh like ruffling the hair made me laugh because I was like, oh, that's a heel thing to do. I loved it. Then it got violent when Josh like back throw where he just threw Tyler across the ring was looked very violent. I was like, oh, you just straight chucked a man across the ring. And then, of course, the Tilt of Woods is still a fun looking finisher. But Josh Woods ends up picking up the victory. Not much to say here from me. But Andrew, what did you think of Josh just being Josh Woods?
I like it. There was actually a few moments in there, and I'm not saying one for one, but he kind of had some Brock Lesnar ish Goldberg kind of moments, like where I was really starting to see this. Like you could put Josh Woods kind of up there. I know we're kind of seeing a resurgence of like the big powerhouses with some other folks like Hobbs and those kind of folks coming back. And Josh Woods is in kind of the middle ground of that. He's so athletic, but he's got that wrestler strength, that like collegiate wrestler strength. That when he does things, you just believe that, like, yeah, you're like, oh, yeah, that's that. You don't want to get hit with that. Um, and I like the development that he's kind of getting. I have a feeling we'll probably get some more of these kind of matches. Maybe I'm hoping like maybe one or two more, and maybe we can start developing either some targets or a target or someone who's kind of coming after him. But I'd like to see him start developing into something. Ideally, potentially building into a rematch with Shibata. Um, kind of see where we can go from there. But I think of all the combinations, him and Mark Sterling it's a really good set for the two of them because obviously Josh Woods is still getting, he's still building up some of the more vocal chops, but them together are a really great combination. Um, so I can't wait to see what they do with him. But yeah, he looked super strong, which of course, like you said, squash match he's supposed to. Uh, so hopefully we'll start building to something. But it was a good match.
Yep, another win for Josh Woods, and I agree with you. I would love to see him get a rematch against Shibata down the line. So I just hope they don't drag this out for too long. So after this, we jump into our next match, which is the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels taking on Rocky Azucar Romero. So we didn't have to wait long from that backstage segment. I thought this was a really fun match, and I mean this in the best way possible. I know what to expect. Christopher Daniels is Christopher Daniels. Like the man has been wrestling for 20 plus years at this point, so he knows what he's doing. Rocky is also kind of in that same vein. He's been wrestling for a very long time in New Japan and across the world. So we knew we were gonna get a fun match. Of course, I love the playfulness between these two, like taunting each other, but like in a weird face versus face kind of dynamic. Um, and I do think that Rocky winning is the right choice because I don't want to say Christopher Daniels doesn't need a win here because, wins are always good. But I feel like Christopher Daniels is at a point in his career where he's just like, I'm good with what I'm doing. Like, he's had a full on career. And then Rocky winning, I would love to see Rocky versus Eddie at some point, which, please. But Andrew, what did you think of Christopher Daniels versus Rocky?
I thought it was a solid match. Like you said, it was kind of what you expected. It felt like a good, kind of middle of the card match to have some good, solid professional wrestling. But yeah, there was no turn, there wasn't anything like that. It was kind of two people living up to the Ring of Honor kind of idea. Um, I felt like it was good to see both of them look good out there and kind of have a fun match. Yeah, I would like to see some. It seems like there's something going on with Rocky Romero. He's popped up in Ring of Honor and AEW, so it'd be interesting to see where they put him because I think it's clear that whoever you put him in there with, especially if it's going to be a big match, he'll deliver for it. So yeah, I'm interested, but yeah, solid match.
Agreed. Nothing more to say there. So next, we get probably one of my two favorite backstage segments. So Lexi is with Dalton Castle, who is losing his gourd. And I love that he called it out. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm wearing this boring t-shirt. I was like, wow. I was like, that is kind of tame for you, Dalton. We know what you wear to the ring for your wrestling gear, so it's crazy. But Dalton basically says in this backstage interview that, he's trying to give the people what they want. He's trying to get back on TV. He would like to get back in a championship picture at some point. He just needs to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. And then I love Lexi being the straight man in this scene. It's just like, I don't know what that was. She's like, what is happening, you guys? But please give me more Dalton Castle on my TV screen and let's get this man back into a title picture because I feel like there's still unfinished business between him and Joe because Stokely caused Dalton to lose that title shot back at Death Before Dishonor, and we really haven't gotten a follow up on it. So I would love to see Dalton and Samoa Joe round two because I think that'd be great. But yeah, more Dalton Castle, please.
Yeah, it was a fun promo. I think Dalton Castle is probably one of the most entertaining uh, wrestlers in AEW, or sorry, not AEW, Ring of Honor. I mean, he's up there with AEW too, and a lot of just wrestlers in general. But in Ring of Honor, he's one of the people that I'm enjoying more and more every time I see him. I feel like there were some hints that he's going to be going after that television title. Um, and I think again, just like the world title, it'd be nice for someone like Dalton Castle to pick up the TV title because I feel like he is someone who you can rely on to defend that title, if not every week on Ring of Honor, at least every other week. And it'd be nice to get to see more of that, especially because of the type of matches that he could have with the other challengers if he's actually defending that title. Um, yeah, is just the promo, the acting directly to the camera, just speaking directly to the audience. It's so entertaining. I'm here for it.
Yes, like I said, more Dalton Castle, please. After this, we get into our next match, which features Scorpio Sky taking on a returning Fred Roser. That is a name I haven't heard in a hot minute. So I okay. I don't I know Scorpio Sky is signed with AEW, but he just fits so well here in Ring of Honor just in terms of his aesthetic, his wrestling style is more grounded for that Ring of Honor type of thing. So I wouldn't be mad if he stayed around Ring of Honor for a little bit, but This was a really fun match. I was happy to see Fred back in the ring because I haven't seen him in a little bit. It's been a hot minute, like I said. This was a fun back and forth. There's some good wrestling here. Fred do showing that even though he's been gone for a little bit, he still got it. But ultimately, Scorpio Sky picks up the victory here. Andrew, what did you think of this match between Scorpio and Fred?
Uh, I was actually not familiar with Fred before this match, and so I thought one of the great things was both in ring and from the announce team was how well they did of introducing people who may not be familiar with him to him. I thought Scorpio Sky, he's such a solid performer, and you had him against clearly someone else who was experienced, but it was a way for both of them to really kind of show off their styles. And then the way that the commentators kind of broke down his history, what he's been doing since he was last basically in the States, but since people might have seen him, who he was, some of his history. It was really nice to get that experience and kind of get introduced to someone. But yeah, the match I thought was another solid match. Both guys going back and forth really well. Um, it was nice because they're not really being familiar with who he was, and then hearing more and more. There were almost some points as the match went on where I was like, "Is he going to beat Scorpio Sky?" Because when I first saw it, like the match first started, I was like, "Okay, Scorpio Sky's going to win." But they did a good enough job of going back and forth and kind of giving me this idea of like, "Oh, okay, this could go either way." Which is always really nice when you're watching it. Not having it be something where you're like, okay, obviously this person's going to win every time. So yeah, it was enjoyable. It was a really good match. I thought it was not one of my top matches, but it was definitely at the upper end of the matches of the night.
Agreed. And then we go from this to our first trio, 6-woman tag match, if you will, where we get Lady Frost and the Renegades taking on Willow Nightingale, Kiera Hogan, and Sky Blue. So, again, Willow, Kiera, like Kiera Hogan and Sky, always one of, I'm happy anytime I see that. And then, of course, seeing Lady Frost once again on Ring of Honor television is always great. I thought this was a pretty fun match. I'm always worried anytime the Renegades are there because they're so green still a little bit, but I thought they did an okay job. But there were a couple of spots where I was just like, oop, looks like somebody missed a call or something. But with 4 out of the 6 of these women being consummate professionals, I thought this was fun. And then, of course, Willow, Kiera, and Sky pick up the victory. So, Andrew, this is the second women's match of the night that we got. What did you think of this 6-woman tag?
Uh, I I I'm happy that we got more, obviously more than one women's match. I do always find it funny that so often many of the women's matches we get are random 6 women tag matches. Um, but that being said, the entrance with Lady Frost and the Renegades, I saw that and instantly I was like, okay, I kind of like this group. I'm here for it. Let's see where they go. And then Willow, Sky Blue, and Kiera are just that trio. Like they should they should just constantly be a faction. There's not a ton of like all women factions or women dominant factions, but these three are so entertaining. Willow definitely needs to stay at the top of the singles division, unless they're going to allow them to go for a trios title. But she should be the top baby face for Ring of Honor in the women's division. So good, so entertaining, so clean. Um, I thought Frost and the Renegades were a really good team together because there were moments when it seemed like Frost could kind of direct them, but knowing that the Renegades are newer, it still makes sense in the ring because it makes sense that Lady Frost is going to be kind of that general, that leader of the group. So if she is giving them some orders or kind of helping catch them up or whatever, like it fits for the scenario that's going. Um, but I thought the match was a lot of fun. I thought they all kind of had their moments, and the Renegades are looking better and better. Every time we get to see them. Um, One of the things that I noticed that was super interesting is it got pointed out to me by somebody after this that Sky Blue's makeup was doing this too. But I noticed with Willow, she still has the one eye makeup, and it's kind of dripping down from her altercations with Julia Hart. But all of their makeup, which was usually black when they were like coming back from the mist, it was dripping down and everything, but it was blue, so it still fit their color motif and everything. So just little changes of character or look, kind of crossing over with the different things, but kind of still staying within that group. Um, yeah, I hope we get to see some really good stuff from all three, well, all six of them, but Hogan, Sky Blue, and Willow. Just I just want to see them making some big runs because they're all so good and so entertaining.
Oh, absolutely. And these three are kind of, along with Lady Frost a little bit, these four are becoming regular staples in the women's division, along with two other women that we'll see later. I was like, this is a good crop of women to start doing different storylines with. I think that's my, and I think that's my biggest critique, minus some of the stories we have. I just wish there were more, but it seems that Ring of Honor is still trying to establish what that is exactly, which I'm okay with. But this was a fun match, and more of these women, please. I will love to see it. Speaking of women, Trish Adora and the infantry were backstage with Lexi giving this interview. It was more so the infantry because all three of them would be in action. The infantry would be going up against New Japan's TMDK, or the Mighty Don't Kneel. And then Trish would be in a match against Billy later tonight. So they're just basically hyping themselves up for the match, and we'll see them later. After this, we get All Ego. Well, I mean, let's be honest. At this point, I'm like, he is All Ego Ethan Page to me at this point, and I love. Yep, I got to do the dimple smile. It's one of my favorite things. But Ethan Page takes on Invictus Cash in a decent squash match. I mean, again, Ethan Page is continuing to prove. I was like, he's such a great addition to Ring of Honor. Ethan Page, his finisher is, oh my goodness. Like, I love his finisher, the cutter, basically. Ethan picks up the victory here, and I also love the little, like, aggressive handshake at the end with his opponent on the floor. Please keep doing that, Ethan. But, Andrew, what did you think of Mr. All Ego in this match?
I love it. I think he's probably at about like 80-85% ego. I think we're about to hit full 100% ego, and that ride is going to be so much fun. Ethan Page is one of my top picks to be in the top uh, singles division. He already is making such waves. I think he's like, this was his fifth win, or maybe it was his fourth in as many weeks. So I think he's going to be at the top of that world title picture soon. And with what he's doing, this build up has been really nice to see, and Ethan Page is perfectly designed for it. Um, because I think he's going to be one of those people that can do a lot of the heelish things, but people are still going to cheer for him. They're still going to be, all about that for Ethan Page. Um, so it was fun. It was good. Yeah, kind of similar to the Josh Woods match. I kind of knew it was going to happen, but Ethan Page is so entertaining that even when you know that's the inevitable outcome, you just doesn't feel like there's ever a lull in his matches.
Absolutely. And again, we'll see more of Ethan later tonight, but please keep him on my TV screen because it's a great time. We cut backstage where we see Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling gearing up for Tony Nese's match. And again, same thing, basically always calling people fat wherever they go. And this time they're going to do stuff with um basically with bread and things like that. And that'll come into play a little bit later, but just sets it up. This was funny. Tony Nese doing Tony Nese things, and we'll talk more about it when we get to his match. After this, we get our tag team match between the Infantry and TMDK, being represented in this match by Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes. I love that Mikey Nichols is just like, I'm part of this group, but I'm over everybody in it, because Shane Hayes and Bad Dude and Bad Tito, like, they're just they're like little kids. They're like being silly and whatnot. And then Mikey Nichols is like, "What am I doing here? Shane, get over here. We have this match. Stop messing around." But I thought this was a fun match. Now, the Infantry is, I don't want to say fairly new to wrestling, but they are under 5 years, I believe, if I remember correctly. And Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes have been wrestling for a little bit longer than that. I thought this was a really fun match. I will say I'm kind of surprised to see TMDK pick up the win here, since they're not really staples in Ring of Honor, so maybe they'll be sticking around for a little bit. Who knows? But I thought this was a fun match. Andrew, what did you think of TMDK and the Infantry?
I thought this was a great tag team match. This is one of my top two matches of the night, actually, because there was so much good tag team action in it. Um, just the back and forth, the fact that a team like the Infantry is so new, working with a team like TMDK, they they got to balance each other really well, and we got to see like a really strong feeling like, okay, the Infantry could be up there with a tag team like this that's been tagging for a long time, not just wrestling for a long time, but tagging together for a long time, tagging all over the world. And so I thought the mix of the two different tag teams was a really good showing. It was a super fun match. Carly Bravo is, he just calls out all kinds of stuff every time he's hitting moves. That I mean, I think when that guy slows down, he's going 60 miles an hour. Just going, 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 and TMDK had some fun moments. There was some moment when they were beating up. I think it was on Sean Dean, and someone in the audience you can hear yells out, "Where's your honor?" And they yell back, "Left it in Australia." So I just thought it was just so much fun back and forth with them, with the audience. Having a team that's been together for so long and knows each other really well. I do feel like TMDK, at least the three that we got to see, are going to be there, hanging around Ring of Honor and AEW for a while. Obviously, Zack Sabre Jr. Is doesn't seem like he's quite done with some of the stuff that's going on. So maybe we will get to see that group around for a bit. Um, I'd like to see TMDK maybe stick around in the tag team division, or maybe the three of them go after that 6-man title. But either way, at least long enough to like have a nice run and kind of build up some of the other teams that are around them as they go.
Agreed. From here, we go backstage with Mr. Ethan Page himself. Once again, cutting the same promo. He's like, I'm glad I'm doing all these wins, but I meant to what I said. I'm here in Ring of Honor. I want to win some championships, and I'm ready to take it to the next level. So, nothing more to say here. Again, more Ethan Page is always a good thing. And I hope eventually we do start building him to be in some sort of championship picture, whether that be for the television title, uh, if they want to build him up to face Eddie at some point, I'm okay with it. But just give me more Ethan Page. That's all I want. And then we get to the aforementioned Tony Nese versus Satoshi Kojima match. Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling come out and they do their thing where basically they call everybody fat. And then as they're trying to do their thing, Satoshi Kojima is just like, nope, absolutely not. Interrupts, and then we get this match. Again, Satoshi Kojima has been wrestling for a very, very long time, is a staple in Japanese wrestling in general. And God, I love this man because he knows how to poke fun of his opponents. He's just he does comedy very well, and like the over exaggerated expressions and everything was great. I was surprised to see Kojima actually win here because Tony Nese has. I mean, Tony Nese has won a little bit. He's been on bit of a losing streak, but I'm surprised he lost to Kojima, and then Kojima gets the bread and starts eating it after the match, which was great. But Andrew, what did you think of Tony Nese versus Satoshi Kojima?
Yeah, no, I was surprised too. I thought Nice was going to win, even if it was going to be through some nefarious means. He also has smart Mark in his corner, and he's been known to hold some tights and use some ropes and things like that. I thought the match was really good and solid. I thought, both of them performed really well. And it was fun to see because as muscular as Tony Nese is, uh, Kojima's he's like a wall, so to see how big and strong he is, they really got to play off of that. Um, I don't know if the plan is that Nice is going to go on a bit of a losing streak. I feel like he's lost the last 3 weeks, whether it's been in tag matches or in singles competition. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. But yeah, the bread stuff, and apparently Kojima is like the head of a bread appreciation society. Yeah, having him come out to shut that all down was was pretty good. It was a good match, pretty average, but all in all, I thought it was pretty entertaining.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, I need to prepare myself because after this match, we get Minion Training Part 2. Listen, so okay, I gotta say, this one was just as much fun as the first one. This was a little short. My favorite part is that we get like a side by side cut back and forth between Billy and Lexi. Billy's just like, this training is tough, but you know what? I'm proud of Lexi. Like, she's here. She's a great person. I'm having a good time. And Lexi's just like, Billy Stark sucks. Like, I was like, damn, Lexi, tell us how you really feel. She's like, yeah, I don't know why Billy's here. She just sucks. And then, of course, Lexi passes the second part of the training, and gosh, I love this part. Athena's just like, Billy, you failed this part of the training, so you know what you have to do. And so Billy has to go to Tony Khan's office and yell, and basically try to be Willow Nightingale's voice. I was just like, damn. It would have even been funnier if Tony Khan actually popped his head out. I was like, what was that? That would have been funny. But again, minion training is one of my favorite things. But Andrew, what did you think of this second session of minion training with Lexi, Billy, and Athena?
I very much liked the reality show cut to single interview moment. That was very funny. I think Lexi is starting to drink the Kool Aid or believe the hype, and is kind of buying into this, leaning more towards Athena now than Billy. I do have to say, I noticed today, watching this, Lexi's jacked. She's got some guns on her too. I was surprised. I But that aside, it was super fun. I mean, I'm interested more and more every week when I get to see the whole dynamic between Billy and Athena. Some stuff came up during this card that kind of made me kind of go, okay, I'm not quite sure. Like, I thought I knew where this was going. I'm not quite sure now, which I really like. But these segments are great. Billy Starks is just so fun, and like her energy is just contagious. And I love the fact that she has that much energy, and like Athena is just not about it at all. She's just is like ready to like. She's like, no, you're not taking this seriously enough, and it's almost like it aggravates her because it like makes her feel like other people don't take it seriously too. Um, so it's just a great comedic duo and trio, really, because Lexi is the perfect middle figure between the two of them. Um, she's another one that I think is just it's one of the like highlights of Ring of Honor. She's such a great backstage commentator, and even better in these segments because she really gets to flourish. So I'm loving it. I can't wait to see what they're going to do more with this. And I think all three of them are gonna continue to be at these top positions in Ring of Honor for a while.
Oh, absolutely. And we're not quite done with this Athena Billy because next up we have Billy Starks taking on Trish Adora. I thought this was a fun match. Obviously, my favorite part of this match is that Athena's yelling at her and Billy trying to throw a tantrum in the middle of the ring was the funniest thing to see. Like she's overacting. She's like, "I wanted to win," and Billy can't hold it together. I love you, Billy, but you're not. You're. Mm. I. It was very interesting to the fact of how the dynamic was different because Billy was out there for Athena's match, which I forgot to mention when we were talking about it. Billy kind of convinced Athena not to destroy Layla with the title after the match. So I was like, is she rubbing off on her? Like, what is happening? And then we got this match. It's like, oh, nope. Athena's back yelling at her. So the will they, won't they is great. But ultimately, Billy Starks wins here by making Trish tap out in a submissions hold. Andrew, what do you got to say about Trish and our favorite little minion Billy?
I'm happy that you brought that up about the match earlier with Athena because, yeah, it seemed like there was a bit of Billy kind of like, it was almost like, not that she felt bad for Layla, like she was like, okay, I'm not going to do this to hurt this other person. It was almost more like she was sensitive to Billy, of going like, all right, I won't do it because I see it'll make you happy if I don't do it. Which was interesting because there were moments in this match with Trish Adora and Billy Starks where there was a kind of aggressive side of Billy Starks in this, and so it was almost like some of the that kind of aggression from Athena was rubbing off. And I don't know if it's the being yelled at all the time, so that frustration's coming out on her opponent, or if she's kind of seeing like, okay, like, some people are kind of tougher and I got to take it more seriously, and maybe, approaching it from a way that Athena does, which kind of fit for, she hit her with the finisher that she used last week and then went for that submission, was almost like a little bit of a like, oh, I don't want to pin you, like I want to make you tap out kind of a moment, which was very different than we've seen from Billy in the past. So I think we're kind of seeing them now affecting each other, which, after that minion training, like I'm very interested to see where they're going to go. Because Billy still seems to be pretty loyal no matter what Athena puts her through. Yeah, the match itself though was a really fun match. I thought, you've got two great wrestlers who are working their way kind of up to be in the top picture, and they both did a great job in this match. So yeah, it was a super fun match, and I look forward to see what's going on with both sides of the match.
I do too. And again, Billy and Athena is one of the funnest things that we get to see every week on Ring of Honor. And I'm interested to see where the story eventually leads. After this, we get another match. This time, Lee Johnson versus Darius Martin. So this was I love these two, and I mean this in all respect. But this was one of the matches I was like, we could have taken this out a little bit. We could have saved it for another time. If I'm being completely honest, I still had fun watching it, but I was just like, but everything beforehand kind of was. I don't want to say better, but I was like, this doesn't really have a story going. It was just a match for a match sake, which was fun, but it was I think this could have been one of those matches you could have removed. Lee and Darius are really, really good. Of course, Darius is still being pushed as a single star until Dante returns because if it's not one of them, it's the other. Because they can't seem to stay not injured. And Lee is. It seems that we've kind of separated Lee and Darius and Action and Andretti from being a trios, which is okay with me. But Andrew, what did you think of Lee Johnson versus Darius Martin?
I thought this was another solid match. I thought for two guys who can fly and are super fast and agile, they had some really, really good chain wrestling. It was interesting to see the different styles that they bring in because when you don't see them wrestling each other, you could kind of see them being similar. But then when they went against each other, their styles are just have slight differences to them. But I thought both of them looked good. Um, I would like to see more. I would love for Top Flight to be able to come back and actually have a sustained run. I'm happy though that Martin's still getting to do some things, stay active while his brother's out, because it is a bummer when someone in your faction or your team or whatever gets taken out for a little while. If that means you got to go on the shelf too, because that's hard. And I thought this was a great showing for Lee Johnson. He seems to be kind of starting to build up his place. I don't know if they're still going to do anything with Shane Taylor Promotions or not with him, or if he's just moving on to something else or nothing else. But I think they're both young, solid talent. So yeah, but I think again, this could have been a match that could have been on any show, and could have done with a little time off the whole card and moved some other cards up or around in position as well. So
Again, solid match, but I felt like maybe we could have saved this for another time. So then, I wish this got more time because honestly, everybody involved, well, maybe minus Cole Carter, I really like in this match. So we had a four-corner survival tag team match. I also wish that this match had some sort of stakes in it, just but I feel like this is a showcase because I'm like, these are the four tag teams we currently have outside, like that are doing things in Ring of Honor. Wouldn't it be a shame though, because the tag titles are not even there? So I was like, what are we doing? But anyways, this was a four-corner survival tag team match, which saw the Workhorsemen versus the Iron Savages versus Shane Taylor Promotions versus Griff Garrison and Cole Carter. And this match went exactly how I thought. Cole Carter getting his ass beat by every other team. Literally, that's what this match turned into. I'm also upset because Iron Savages need more screen time, and they like Bronson didn't really get too much action in here. He picked up Cole, but then he escaped, and I was like, no, that's not how this goes. But yeah, basically, this match was everybody just destroy Cole Carter. um, Again, this poor Griff Garrison and Cole Carter, they're twigs compared to everybody else. Like this was a lot of meat in this match, and this was a lot of fun. Of course, Iron Savages. I'm biased. Me and JVL, they're like our favorite Ring of Honor tag team right now. We just love how ridiculous they are, but how agile and athletic they are. Also, I had loved during this match that commentary pointed out when who was it? Not Boulder. But anyways, where they did the like face, and it's like I don't know, I don't think he googled that because if he did, I don't think he knows what that means. I was like, I loved it. Shane Taylor got a lot of the offense for his team in this one, and of course, JD Drake is so underrated, and nobody talks about how good he is for a big guy. But again, Cole Carter ends up costing his team the loss here because he's not paying attention because he's trying to. We're not going to say here. We're going to keep it PG, but he has mommy issues with Maria. with Maria. By the way, shout out to Maria for getting involved in the comedy spot where she had the Iron Savages like protein shake and like a baby to a bottle is like gimme, gimme, gimme. God, I love my comedy wrestling. But ultimately, Tane Shaler pins Cole Carter and picks up the win for Shane Taylor Promotions. Andrew, what did you think of this very short but very chaotic four corner survival tag team match?
yeah, I think if we would have cut a match and given this match some more time, I think if the women's title match wasn't going to be the main event, this should have been the main event. And like you said, I agree. It should have been for make it a future tag team title shot at some point, like undisclosed time or whatever. Or heck, have the winners of this go on to face another tag team that's going to win from some other stipulation match, and then eventually the winner of that tag team match will get a title shot. Maybe at some point between now and then, they could have figured out what's going on with the tag team titles, or you give it to a team that's going to give them at least enough of a push to go after the tag team titles that we're pretty sure are not going to beat the current champions, but at least it keeps some action in the titles. Um, yeah, I do kind of love how much people hate Cole Carter because that's kind of how you're supposed to feel about him. I thought it was interesting at one point that as much as a rule follower as Griff Garrison is, that at one point he actually jumped off the apron to avoid the tag from Cole Carter, which I was like, oh wow, that was very different. But yeah, there were some hosses in this match, especially considering like Cole Carter and Griff Garrison are not small guys. So to look as small as they did against some of the other wrestlers was pretty crazy. Um, every time I see JD with a workhorseman, the two of them makes me enjoy them even more. Um, I think they could at least get a push to being top contenders. I don't know that we'll ever get a chance to see them wear the titles, but as much as they've kind of improved every time that I've seen them, I don't put it past them. It was fun. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, some time to actually flush some stuff out and develop some of the things that we've kind of been building up to. Um, the fact that there was nothing really on the line, um, I'm okay with the winners being Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor. They were of everyone that feels the least like a tag team to me. Um, at least with Griff Garrison and Cole Carter, they're trying to make it a tag team. So we're literally getting to see out front of the curtain what it's like when you put two singles competitors together in a tag team. And I would have liked to have seen maybe the Iron Savages or the Workhorsemen, the two long established actual tag teams pick up a victory here, because even though it wasn't stated, that could have meant something for them winning. The fact that neither of them took a pin was good. Um, and hopefully that'll build towards more of the story with Garrison and Carter. But all in all, I thought it was a fun match. Big spots. Obviously, you got some big, powerful guys going around there, able to hit some of those. And the ridiculousness of just some of the between Cole Carter and his shenanigans, the Iron Savages. Everybody is just it was good fun, and I think the Workhorsemen also play really good straight men against the comedy performers, because even when they're trying to be the serious ones, it really plays into that like comedic aspects. So yeah, I think it was great. I'd love to see some actual tag matches or something happen with the movement in the tag division, but hopefully time will give us those opportunities.
I totally agree. So, I mean, we this was a fun way to end the show. Wait, what do you mean there's still one more match? I was like, you know what? This is a fun way to end, Shane Taylor, like this fatal four way was great. And then I look at the timestamp on, the feed. I was like, what do you mean we have like 10 minutes left? What are we about to watch? And then we get our actual main event, which sees the Spanish Announce Project, which is Angelico and Serpentico, joined by, well, because at the time when they recorded this Ring of Honor, they were still in Seattle. Hometown boy Gringo Loco, which he's one of my favorites at the moment, versus Commander, Gravity, and Metalik. And I just sat here and was just like, this is the main event. And then I look back at my notes. I was like, but you could have opened this. Why wasn't the women at this? This was the moment I realized. I was like, why was that women's match not the closer for this episode? What is happening, Stokely? Stokely, we gotta talk. Like you and everybody else in Ring of Honor, whose idea was this to open for Athena and Layla to open Ring of Honor? Anyways, I don't want to take away from these six because this was a fun match, but it made me enjoy it just a tiny bit less knowing the fact that this was our main event instead of the banger of a 20-minute women's match that we had to open the show. This main event, as I put it in air quotes, this 6-man tag could have opened the show and I would have been fine with it. Again, this was a fun one, of course. Team Lucha, as I have dubbed them now, they're gonna do Lucha things, which I'm never gonna complain about. The Spanish Announce Project has slowly become one of my favorite things right now. And Gringo Loco is always a good time because he's very agile for a big white man, a big white boy. It's fun. But ultimately, Commander and Gravity and Metalik pick up the victory here as Ring of Honor goes off the air. Andrew, what did you think of our main event? It pained me to say that.
I totally agree. This should have been swapped with the title match for sure. Both between the people that were participating in it, the stories that are being told, the fact that it was for a title. On top of that, I think it kind of let this match down, having this be the main event. It was a multi-person tag match coming right after a previous multi-person tag match. It was one of those matches where you're like, well, why is this at the top? Like, what does this have to do with any story? Um, but along with that, I think if you put it at the front of the card, you set that energy level that this type of match has for the card, and it just sets you up for everything else that's coming after it. It spreads it out amongst the other tag matches that are going on, because the performers in this match were phenomenal. You bring in Gringo Loco, who is used to the luchador style. So he does great with the other luchadors that he's wrestling against. Obviously Angelico and Serpentico are obviously familiar with that style and have their own unique aspects to it. Um, so I thought all of them meshed super well together. That finish from Commander was awesome. Some of the things that these people do are just incredible, and both sides of it. Um, that I think it was a fun match, but it kind of felt a disservice to both this match, the card as a whole, and other matches that how it was laid out. Because yeah, it did leave a bit of a I'll say bitterness in me that I was just like, really, this is what happened. Um, because if it wasn't going to be the title match, it should have been the eight man tag match that came before it. Um, but I've enjoyed Serpentico since he kind of first started in AEW when I first saw him there. When he started tagging with Luther, being the human weapon for his partner, and how that's kind of adapted into his work with Angelico. Angelico he's kind of up there with Orange Cassidy for me. He is so into his character and so into his style and his between wrestling and how he interacts with everyone else that it is who he is, and it's perfect for what he does. But he's able to still bring enough excitement and athleticism and action into when he does it that it's always entertaining. So great match or good match between the six performers. I'm sure we're going to see plenty more from the Spanish Announce Project and the Lucha Trio. I hope that we get to see, especially from Commander and Gravity, being relatively younger performers. I hope we get to see some good stuff with them too. But hopefully we'll also get to see some better card layouts and get to see some better thought out planning with that stuff. But all in all, solid match.
Yep. And that's how we end up going off of the air for this week's Ring of Honor. Now we go and we give this our rating. So I'll go first. Even though the score I'm about to say in hindsight might seem a little low, I think out of 10, this is still very respectable. I'm giving this a solid like 6.8 out of 10 for me, in the sense that, again, everything is not inherently bad. It's just that I think what killed it is the placement of some of the matches on the card could have been rearranged a little bit. I felt like there were about two matches that could have been taken out completely because I love Ring of Honor, but I don't want to try to be watching 2-hour shows every single week. And I think what really brought it down is just I was very perplexed of why you opened with the championship match and then it kind of was a disservice to the six people involved in that main event of the six-man tag. But I still had a good time. I just want more storytelling outside of the ones we got going on right now. And like, I don't, right now, my biggest critique with Ring of Honor is I feel like they're still trying to figure out what it wants to be. And so I'm hoping that once it figures out what it wants to be, then we can start treating it as, if we want to treat it as a different brand underneath the AEW umbrella, sure. If we want to make it AEW's, like, I don't want to say developmental because I also feel like it's a disservice because there's a lot of good talent in Ring of Honor. But if we want to make it an auxiliary, then I'm cool with that too. I just need Ring of Honor to find its identity. But for this week, I give it a solid 6.8 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I pretty much am in the same ballpark. There were a lot of kind of mid level 6-ish out of 10 matches for me. But there were also some really high 7 and up matches for me. Um, I will say there was never really a spot where I was like bored or didn't enjoy something. The biggest letdown was the fact that I feel like there was stuff that didn't necessarily need to be there, and the way things laid out could have been better. I agree. Ring of Honor needs to start just doing some developing of their stories. They've got some really good talent, but it feels like because they are kind of starting over, they just have to figure out what they're going to do and how that plays out week to week, but also in the year. So for me, I would give this a 7 out of 10. It was a good match, or it was a good card. Wasn't my favorite over the last few weeks, but it was definitely still entertaining. I still enjoyed it. I didn't feel let down by anything other than maybe that main event, but not the match itself, just where it was. So 7 out of 10 for me.
Agreed. And with that, that brings us to the end of another Bi-Conic review of Honor episode, or Bro. Andrew, this was a fun one to review. I'm glad to have you here, my friend. So it's always a good time.
Well, thank you very much. It's always fun
I
to
love
be
it.
here. Look forward to next week.
Oh, absolutely. And hopefully, if the wrestling gods align the schedules correctly, all four of us will be back in the same room together. But here's hoping. But if you liked this bro review, you can check out other bro reviews that we have, as well as all the other ones we have across here at the Bi-Conic's YouTube channel, because we cover a lot. We cover pretty much everything. But it is a great time. You can check us out all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod to get notifications when these go live, as well as some fun videos and behind the scenes shenanigans stuff. Stay tuned because we're currently editing a exclusive episode that's going to go up on the Patreon. Spoiler alert, that's launching very soon. Um, of me and JVL trying to review Ring of Honor on Discord when everyone kept popping in and making the review worse. So it was it was a good time. It was funny as all heck. And then, of course, if you thought that was chaotic, you should see us at the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, wherever all podcasts can be found, because it's like these, but more unhinged. Maybe? Yeah, it's a little more unhinged. We basically go full throttle. We nerd out about wrestling. It is a great time. But that is going to bring us to the end for Bi-Conic Review of Honor. From me and Andrew, remember, thank you for watching and take care of yourself. Love one another. And as always, stay Bi-Conic, you beautiful people. Until next time, we'll see you later.